Hey Scorpio, welcome to May 2019. Alright, got the Magician in the reversed. I also got the Queen of Pentacles in the reverse. So, I think right off the bat, in May, let's pull a little more. I don't want to, make any assumptions about that, what that means, until I feel like, because Scorpio, I know you've been doing a lot of shit. And you've been working hard. The moon. Okay. So, I'm just gonna keep pulling. I don't have to read the meaning into this stuff until I feel like I got a good grasp. Too many. My rule is if too many come out, it's meaningless, So, okay. Great. Judgment and the Hierophant. Well, listen, I think part of the deal is that you have indeed been spending quite a lot of time manifesting things, right? But I think you're coming to a period where it's the results of your manifestation are not quite what oh my god, I don't even want to say it. Sorry. I don't even know that it's what you manifested isn't exactly what you hoped. I think it's just that you feel like something's off. And that's because you're the Queen of Pentacles, right? You're kind of both of these people, and they're both just kind of the Magician is how you approach your work, which is through magic, by literally knowing yourself, knowing the universe, kind of tuning into things. And you've been channeling, right? And you've been really, I think, trying to follow a path of kind of creating some dreams. And your dreams might have to do with a little bit of an empire that you want to create. So, being really literally the queen of your domain, of your career. So I think that, whatever it is, if it, for example, maybe you've wanted to start your own business where you're self-employed, but I think you're in a phase of feeling you've been putting in a lot of work, you've been giving it a lot of your energy, and it's just you're not quite seeing it. I think it just feels like you're putting in more than you're getting out of it right now. And so I think that's why you're reversed to these energies, because this is certainly who you are meant to be and who you can easily be, but I think something is just feeling a little weird. So maybe right now what you're doing is you're tapping into your unconscious as much as you can. You're looking at the shadows, you're looking at I think you're just going really deep, which is no surprise for you as a Scorpio. That's kind of your MO, is to be because you are a Scorpio and you do want total control. So when things are feeling out of your control, or they're not totally happening, it's natural for you to be kind of why am I reversed to what I know is not only kind of birthright, right? This is just naturally who you're meant to be in the world, and you know it. So you're why am I so at odds with myself all the time? So I think you're really going into the moon, you're going into you're understanding where your emotions come from. So if you are a Scorpio moon, I think this really means understanding your Scorpio side, because I think sometimes, well, I know I neglect my moon sign. And I think that if you were a Scorpio sun, then regardless, so for Scorpio sun, Scorpio risings, I think it's check in with your moon energy and understand how that affects, how that is transmuted through Scorpio. So for example, I'm a Capricorn moon. I'm like obsessed with work. And as a Scorpio, like my rising, all I want to do is kind of like use that persona to help channel the emotional desires of Capricorn. I don't know if I'm totally making sense and just making this about me for no reason, but I think what I'm trying to say is like, in order for you to tap into who you really are and like kind of get right with yourself, I think you need to understand all the parts of you, especially understand where your emotions come from, what drives them, and how that like plays out in like who you are and how all this other stuff is kind of happening for you. And yeah, I pulled the Hierophant and Judgment. So, I mean, for me, I think what I'm going to say is I think that you are thinking about the system a lot. This is like the Illuminati card to me. So, like, let's talk about the Illuminati. They're an elite group of people. It's a conspiracy theory that, like, there's just this, like, tiny people who, like, control everything in the world, and, like, they might as well be aliens because, like, they manipulate all of us, like, to live in the Matrix, right? And I don't know what their agenda is or why, but I think as a Scorpio, maybe what you're thinking about is like, okay, who am I really? And like, what is the system I live in? And what am I learning about both myself and kind of the structures I exist in? Because I think you're also facing, yeah, like, dude, like, I think May is just a little bit intense, maybe on an emotional level. And maybe this is all actually kind of happening in the unconscious. So maybe actually on the surface, your May looks totally chill. Like maybe if like we were to watch a video of you in May, like it's just you smoking weed all the time and like staring into nothingness. But underneath that like idea of you, so I'm just saying like May doesn't necessarily mean dramatic things are going to happen. It just means that there's a lot going on in your mind, a lot of processing, a lot of kind of like come to Jesus moments, as some would call them. I don't know. Maybe there's a better term for that, but I think it's kind of like you're really embracing judgment, and not in a judgmental way. I think you're just kind of like, okay, I have been totally stuck from being who I want to be and like why. And so then you go into the moon and you're thinking about where you've been and what the world is like and what's possible and what's not possible within the structures of the world, and kind of knowing and yeah, and like also processing just what you've learned through both the system and just what you've learned about yourself. And so you're just taking stock and you're kind of just knowing yourself. I think in May you're really going deep into yourself. Ooh, Six of Pentacles, cool. So I think for me, I might read up on this one, but I think it's like kind of a little bit of growth is happening. It's like a smidge. It's like, I don't know, because I think really most of your month it sounds like you're doing like just mostly a lot of emotional work, processing where you've been and like what you want to take with you and what you don't, like what qualities of yourself you're incorporating, like basically your shadow side into your psyche so that you can accept all the parts of yourselves, including the parts of yourselves that haven't been working, so you can change course. And then you got the Six of Pentacles. So, let's see. I'm allowed to brush up when I'm not. Giving and receiving flow prosperity. Giving and receiving are in divine balance, creating a harmonious flow. Giving doesn't just pertain to money. On the other end of the spectrum, you may be the one receiving. It's all connected and good karma is coming back to you. So yeah, I guess like maybe once you've done this work, I have a cold, I hope you don't mind. Whoops. I'm all sick. It's okay. Yeah. I think I'm gonna pull more cards. Maybe I'll get clarity on the Six of Pentacles. Right now it's not totally making sense. Cool. The Wheel of Fortune, I'm gonna give it to you upright. But even if it were not upright, if you think about it, it's a wheel. So what does it matter? Um, right? Maybe the idea of things being reversed and see, I'm gonna play with reversals here. So yeah, what is a wheel except 180 degrees? Like if I turn it this way, this image pretty much literally looks exactly the same minus the little words at the top. It doesn't matter which way I turn it. It's all the same. And I think that's what I'm getting. So the Wheel of Fortune is about change. It's about karma. It's about all the good things. So I think like once you've done all this like kind of processing, that's like kind of what you'll be like, oh, the power was within me all along. You know, it was just how I was looking at things. It was just the lens I was processing all the information. And that's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. It's like you watch these online tarot videos, right? And like I definitely am studying the tarot, take it vaguely seriously, like to believe in channeled messages and definitely try to like, but like also who's to say that I have the authority or the know-with-all to make claims about what's going to happen in your life, right? It's kind of like when you get psychic predictions, are you just creating self-fulfilling? Like if I tell you you are going to have a job opportunity come up. So like if I say this card means you're going to have a job opportunity come up, then you might be like, hey, awesome. I'm going to have a job opportunity come up because some chick on YouTube said it. And then you're going to operate in the world like that's going to happen. And then you might create it because you've been anticipating it, because you've been believing that it will be true. You're going to be looking for it and then it will happen. But it's like kind of chicken egg stuff, right? Were you meant to get that, or is it because you were primed to think about the world in that way that you created it? So to bring that back to the Wheel of Fortune, I think what I'm getting is like if you've been feeling stuck and like not totally in alignment with yourself, it's like, why don't I just go about my life assuming the best? Why don't I just assume good things are going to happen? Why don't I just assume that I have done my best and that I'm a good person and that I have integrity and that I'm in alignment with myself? I think the Wheel of Fortune is literally, especially after Judgment, so it's like the Wheel of Fortune and Judgment, I think it's kind of like, hey, if you kind of like take stock, know yourself, and like just really start thinking about the stories you've been telling yourself, like, you know, especially in the unconscious mind, what are your deep-seated beliefs about yourself, etc., that are keeping you in this pattern of not quite manifesting everything you want and not quite feeling the power to be the queen of your dominion? When you kind of like flip all that around, all the things that were holding you back, like, oh, I'm not good enough, I made mistakes, blah, blah, and you just kind of let it go, and you're like, you know what, I think there will be abundance in my future. I think I've done a good job of building things. I think I'm ready to receive and give and kind of be balanced. That, you know, you will start to just kind of see that Six of Pentacles blossoming happen in your life. Is there anything else for you, Scorpio? Your reading's been kind of long. Maybe that's it. Here, I'll just kind of pull one. The Lovers. Damn. I just literally pulled the Lovers for you, Scorpio. I know some tarot readers don't read this as, like, being about love, but it's literally two flamingos making out. So I think there's a good chance, Scorpio, that, like, in May, maybe kind of, I don't want to say as a reward, but it just sounds like once you're really getting right with yourself, I think the right person is gonna, like, vibe with you and just come into your life and be there. Because you'll have just been setting yourself up so that you're looking for all these good things, and I think good things will come. I think romantic love, which is nice. So you're gonna get romantic love because you've done the work in yourself and are cool with you. such a Scorpio vibe. Just being in love because you've done deep emotional processing. I love it. All right. Enjoy.